I think one thing we learned about the Sox and the Cubs out of the Crosstown series, or two things we learned. One, God still likes the Cubs better than the Sox, despite
the
the
Pope.
Pope.
Yeah.
But two, I mean, honestly, like you said in your opening, it was predictable in that the Cubs are a better team. The wind was blowing out, and that just helped fueled an already pretty incredible offense.
Yeah.
I unfortunately did not get to see a lot of the series like on TV. I watched probably 4 innings of game one or 3 innings of game one, if even that, and then was the rest on the radio.
Yeah.
But one stat I did learn because of the radio, and I'm sure this is covered on TV, Darren Jackson had brought up the stat that, the Sox can't afford to give away runs in this series because if you look at the two teams and going into the series, the Cubs had scored like 105 more runs than the Sox had the entire season. So
Yikes.
Obviously the Cubs, have a pretty prolific offense at this point in time. And it came through. Like, can I just say this? And then obviously, I mean, to me, the key moment of the series came in game one when Matt Theis, our catcher, the White Sox catcher, dropped a ball for a sure out at home plate that really could have changed the complexion of that game because Shane Smith struck out the next batter and the inning's over. And it's a 2-1 White Sox lead.
But it snowballed from that moment on.
Yeah, it was... Shane Smith's ERA actually went down after that game by 0.03 because he got one earned run because of that error. So,
but there was like 5 runs in that inning, I think.
6. I think it was 6 runs in that inning. So,
Yikes.
Yeah, there were definitely moments that seemed like the Sox players, it was almost like too big of a stage for some of these young guys playing in their first Crosstown series. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's a lot of defensive errors. That wasn't the only one. Just everything kind of snowballed. I think you guys had a lead, at least in 2 of the 3 games at one point, and then...
Yeah, by scoring in the first inning.
Yeah, and that was it. So, yeah, I have to admit as well, I did not see a ton of it as well either. Because the Tigers are playing at the exact same time. Like all 3 days, they were basically overlapping. So I was like, well, I've got this on the iPad. I've got the Tigers on the big screen. So I was... And then the games kind of got out of hand later on. So I was tuned into the Tigers a lot more. So yeah, I mean, it was men against boys. It was kind of predictable. If you had played a clean series, I think it would have been very interesting, but that didn't happen. I think you're right. The weather played a factor. When the wind's blowing out, the Cubs offense is definitely built to take advantage of that. And they did. So I guess the most interesting thing came out at the end of the series, Sunday's game. There was a little bit of fireworks and a little confusion, at least. I was watching that part actually on TV on our Marquee Network. And Miguel Vargas got hit by a pitch by Brad Keller, kind of up in the shoulder. And I didn't, just stupid. Cubs are going to sweep the series. They're up by 4 or 5 runs at that point. Didn't seem like there was any reason for animosity or what the hell's going on. It's just a bad pitch, hit him in the shoulder. Apparently there's a lot more going on with that. And it's, at least I got introduced to it from Matt Spiegel on Spiegel and Holmes in The Score yesterday. They were breaking it down. Like, well, I didn't think there was much happening because the Cubs broadcast didn't really understand or didn't say much about it. Didn't really understand what was happening, but apparently there's a whole saga, and you know more about this than I do because when I brought up Brad Keller, you knew about his history with the Sox. What was the tidbit you gave me?
Yeah, so when he pitched for the Royals, he plunked us pretty regularly, and it finally reached a head when he plunked Anderson. It was like April in 2019. And they suspended him 5 games for it because it had become excessive at that point. So
this is a long history with Keller and the White Sox then. 6 years, Jesus.
And it continued. He didn't get suspended, at least for hitting a White Sox player, but the plunking between the Royals and the White Sox getting plunked by Royals pitchers in that time frame and Color was there for a considerable amount of years, was quite high. So there is a history. I believe even went somewhere else before the Cubs and ended up plunking a White Sox player like a year ago or 2 years ago. I didn't get that information, but the big one was finally after multiple plunkings of White Sox players in the series, he plucked Anderson and was suspended for 5 games. So
Okay.
And Anderson was kind of baseball's darling at that point in 2019.
Yeah,
He
he was
was
going to
one
be the
of
face of baseball and everything. That was kind
yeah
of his coming out party around then. So
yeah
yeah, I remember that now. I didn't remember that it was Keller, but that's some interesting backstory. There's a lot more going on than I realized. And Spiegel and Holmes pointed out, actually, it's ironic, or not ironic, but um, he Spiegel did some investigative journalism in a text chain with his buddy Len Casper, who is your text buddy as well.
yes
Maybe you should text him, get some more information about it. But Spiegel is actually in a band with Casper, Sonic 45, I think they're called. So they're they're tight. But I guess DJ, second mention of DJ in this show, pointed out in an earlier inning, the Cubs were not happy with something that Miguel Vargas did when PCA was on third base. There was a sacrifice fly. Somehow Miguel Vargas got in between PCA and his sight path to, I think it's Luis Robert that caught the ball in the outfield, kind of obscuring his vision, so he didn't really know when to take off from third base in the sac fly, which I've never heard of that before. It seems logical, a third baseman, if he's, it's just some gamesmanship.
yeah
I just had never thought about that, never occurred to me, but I guess the Cubs were pissed off about that. I know Quentin Berry, the third base coach, was kind of jawing about it, that found out later. So I guess that's the genesis of this. Well, several layers. I mean, you've got the history, and then this small incident. It seems kind of a ridiculous thing to get all butthurt about. But the greater context with Keller having a history with the White Sox and really a history of being an asshole, throwing a 95-mile-an-hour pitch to Vargas's shoulder just because he had hit a home run earlier and gotten PCA's way. I think we might as well nominate him for Keller for our asshole of the week.
No argument here. Yeah, he's an asshole. He is just an asshole probably on a daily basis. And they probably said if it was some sort of thing, like, he probably took it. He's like, I like plunking White Sox players. So,
well, he had like a smirk on his face after it. Just like, I don't give a fuck.
He's a dick. He is a dick. He's a fucking asshole. Huh. Like you just said, not dick of the week. He's asshole of the week.
Yeah, he's asshole of the week. That's why we've got this platform and this brand. It works out perfectly for shit like that. But I'm doing this in reverse order. What we talk about. Yeah,
that's all right. But it plays well.
It still works. The aforementioned Miguel Vargas also happened to be AL Player of the Week for his exploits against the Reds earlier in the week and a really good series against the Cubs, despite the sweep. So I think by rule, any league player of the week also has to be our badass of the week.
This may be the only time this happens.
Yeah, it's amazing. You've got Vargas's stats there. I think it's a well-earned AL player of the week and badass of the week.
We got a 4 home run, 9 RBI. Only 1 strikeout over that period.
Yeah, that's big.
And a slugging percentage of 1289.
1289 plus his OBP. I didn't do the math on that.
I mean, an OPS of 1289. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I got it.
Screwed that up.
So yeah, I think well deserved. It's interesting though, because I happen to look at PCA's stats over that last week, and they're actually really similar, except for one glaring weakness. I think you've got those over there too.
Yeah, 3 home runs, 11 RBI, a stolen base. His OPS is 12, like 14 something over that period, 1462. Yeah. But one thing that was glaring was he had 11 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's still striking out a lot, but yeah, when he doesn't strike out, he's hitting the ball with power. So yeah, he had 1 fewer home run, way too many strikeouts compared to Vargas. He was not going to win our badass of the week.
But a very, very fucking good showing.
Yeah, it's still a hell of a week. And it made me wonder, like, how did PCA not win NL Player of the Week? And then you look at Cincinnati's Will Benson, who benefited from playing against the White Sox earlier in the week, I guess. Put up just ridiculous numbers, like an 1850 OPS over the week, 5 home runs. So that part makes sense. But we almost could have had dueling league players of the week, and then what would we do for our badass of the week at that point? I don't know what we do.
We start we're going to like OPS plus, BABIP.
These are problems we did not anticipate at all.
We're drilling down to I don't know.
Yeah, I like the BABIP. Like, who's got the like? It's a penalty if your BABIP is too good.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out if we ever do actually have this problem.
So funny, you should mention it. Armstrong's BABIP is insane. It's like 553 for the week. And his OPS plus over that period is like 167, where Vargas's is 223.
Jesus.
So those are some those were things, if we came down to it, I think that those are things you have to maybe look at. I hope that's a problem here, honestly. I really do.
Well, Vargas was such a disappointment for you guys getting traded over. He didn't do hardly anything last year, and I don't think he did much in the first month. So to have him like kind of really breaking out like this is got to be encouraging.
Well, yeah, it is. I talked about it last week on the show. Marcus Timms made a switch to his how he gripped the bat, basically. And since that time frame, he went from having like basically I think it was like an 88 OPS plus and like a 180 batting average or something like that, to what over the last 28 days since he's basically done that, his OPS plus is 173.
Yeah, that's working.
Yeah. And the great news, the thing that makes me laugh a lot about this is the Dodgers couldn't fucking figure it out. And that's why they traded him to us. Because, obviously they have a wealth of talent in their organization. So they were like, I don't know, it's just not clicking with this guy. We tried. Sure, you guys can have him. They felt like they were getting a steal by trading Vargas with part of that Kopech deal. But in the end, the White Sox may have the last laugh. And defensively at third, he has turned into like a very solid third baseman this year. So I don't know. All signs are pointing up there too. So remain optimistic on the Sox.
Word Hole Media.